I request all of you to kindly put your mobile phones on silent mode. आज के सत्र का, आज के दिन का आखिरी सत्र डिस्कशन ऑन पब्लिशिंग इन इंडियन लैंग्वेजेस हम प्रारंभ करते हैं। इस 3 दिवसीय उत्सव का ये आखिरी दिन है और इस हॉल का आखिरी सत्र है। Dissemination of literature has improved with time, and Indian publishing industry has picked up momentum in the last 20 years. Digital technology has enabled Indian language publishers, publication sector to improve their production and appeal. अभी तक जो सफर तय किया इस इंडस्ट्री ने वो लेखकों के लिए, प्रकाशकों के लिए न केवल लाभदायक सिद्ध हुआ है बल्कि उनके लिए चुनौतीपूर्ण भी रहा है। ये सत्र भारतीय भाषाओं के प्रकाशन जगत की यात्रा को अपने में समेटे हुए है, जो निश्चय ही दिलचस्प होगी। सबसे पहले इस सत्र की अध्यक्षता कर रहे निर्मल कांति भट्टाचार्य जी को हम मंच पर आमंत्रित करना चाहेंगे। तालियों के साथ स्वागत करते हैं। निर्मल कांति भट्टाचार्य जी taught English literature at GC College, Guwahati University, and comparative regional secretary, comparative literature at Jadavpur University. He was regional secretary of Sahitya Academy's Eastern Regional Office at Kolkata. Along with him, we would also like to invite E.N. Nandakumar ji on stage. आपको प्रकाशन के क्षेत्र में 25 वर्षों का अनुभव है। आप कोची स्थित कुरुक्षेत्र प्रकाशन और भारत प्रकाशन लिमिटेड के निर्देशक हैं। He is also the founder of Kerala Children's Book Festival. Now we would like to invite Rakesh Renu ji on stage. He's a noted writer in Hindi. He has published 3 poetry collections. His poems and articles have also been translated into many other Indian languages and have been published on various e-portals. Presently, he is serving as the Deputy Director in the Publications Division under Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. अब हम आमंत्रित करेंगे रमेश मित्तल जी को कि कृपया वो मंच पर अपना स्थान ग्रहण करें। आप वर्तमान में फेडरेशन ऑफ इंडियन पब्लिशर्स के अध्यक्ष हैं। इससे पहले आप साहित्य अकादमी के सामान्य परिषद के सदस्य भी रह चुके हैं। आप अन्य व्यावसायिक निकायों के परामर्श मंडल के भी सदस्य हैं। हम आमंत्रित करना चाहेंगे विजय कुमार धूपति जी को कि कृपया मंच पर अपना स्थान ग्रहण करें। He has been in publication industry for the last 40 years. And lastly, we would request Ravi Prakash Tekchandani ji to please come and take his place on the stage. He is an eminent writer and scholar. His field of expertise is Sindhi language and literature. He was the director, National Council for Development of Sindhi Language, Ministry of Education, Government of India, and presently he's the associate professor in Delhi University. अब हम अनुरोध करेंगे कि अकादमी की ओर से हम अनुरोध करेंगे माधव कौशिक जी से कि कृपया अकादमी की ओर से सभी को सम्मानित करें अंगवस्त्रम से। निर्मल कांति भट्टाचार्य जी, E.N. नंदकुमार जी, विजय कुमार धूपति जी, रवि प्रकाश टेकचंदानी जी, और अंत में सम्मानित कर रहे हैं रमेश मित्तल जी को। इस सत्र की अध्यक्षता कर रहे निर्मल कांति भट्टाचार्य जी से हम गुजारिश करेंगे कि वो इस सत्र को प्रारंभ करें। Yes, we do. Please.
I welcome all my fellow panelists, and also I thank the audience which have stayed back after the grueling day, right from the morning 10 o'clock. That perhaps indicates your interest in publishing. And I'm also particularly thankful to Sahitya Academy, because we talk about publishing. I'm speaking in English under compulsion, but we talk about publishing in many various fora, mostly focusing on English publishing in the country. Somehow because of certain maybe certain historical compulsions, because of certain politics of language interplay, English publishing has always stolen the limelight. And in the English publishing world, what is happening comes from the newspapers also. Even which author has got how much amount of advance, that also you get to know. But then we don't get to know these things so far as our language publishing is concerned. So it was quite mindful, quite thoughtful of the academy to put together a panel, and a panel of a considerable period of time, not just a scanty 1 hour, but we can go up to 6 p.m. And the panel will deliberate exclusively on the publishing scenario in Indian languages, and which is not a mean task, because given the fact that India publishes more than 24 languages, so it is not a mean task to discuss what exactly is happening there. Generally speaking, I would think that after a kind of paralysis caused by the pandemic during the last 3 years, I would think Indian publishing scenario has bounced back and started thriving again, started thriving quite well. And this I get to know from the number of books published in languages. I get to know from the kind of enthusiasm one notices amongst the writers in the languages. Also, I get to know about the successes of various book fairs in the country. And in many of the book fairs, language, if it is a Chennai book fair, then Tamil books prevails more over the English. If it is Calcutta book fair, Bengali books sell much more than the English books. So that is a kind of an index to tell us that the language publishing scenario is not doing too badly. And then secondly, some features are there. Some features are there about the support by the libraries, particularly the government libraries. Some features are there about the translation and the kind of recognition in terms of remuneration and publishing their name in print. This of the translators. In these areas, there are certain features are there. Certain, I think others will bear me out. Finally, I'm just giving you certain talking points. Sometimes, we hear complaints that the royalty is not paid regularly by many publishers. I'm not talking of all publishers, by many publishers in languages. Perhaps it is a little better controlled in English than in the language publishing scenario. So we would talk about all these things. I would not take much time at the beginning. I would invite the speakers of the session to throw light upon the various issues pertaining to their languages. And towards the end, or in between, while summing up, I'll make some comments maybe about the Bangla publishing scenario. So how do I go about it? Do I go about it according to the name printed, or I begin from my right hand side and go from right to left? So Nanda Kumarji, maybe you may begin first. You can speak from here, you can go there as you. Okay, sure.
Respected President Sri Nirmal Kandi Bhattacharya, FIP President Sri Ramesh Mittalji, Sri TV Tekchandanji, Sri Ragesh Renuji, Sri Vijay Kumarji, and other distinguished guests in the audience also. I am representing especially in the Malayalam language. In the Malayalam, the speciality of the Malayalam, actually we are having 100% literacy in Kerala. In the 100% literacy, actually it will be our publishing field has also their own contribution in this field. I am saying because of that, the publishing in Indian languages started growing before independence. Sometimes somebody saying that our development of the industry publication started after independence. But that is not the fact. In the time of the Indian freedom struggle, Mahatma Ji and others had taken very much importance for the book publication fields. In my experience, I am saying that in Kerala, in the part of the Indian freedom struggle, there started a movement that is in the publication field that known as NBS National Bookstall. In Malayalam, we are known as Deshiya Pustaka. The beginning of the NBS is the main is some Hindi and other languages, freedom struggle fighters, some statements that will convert to in Malayalam, translate to Malayalam. Likewise, some Malayalam some periodicals, then they will translate to in other languages also. In there, actually, then the part of that freedom struggle, they started not only the publication field, actually for a publication, that is they are having not a special an entity to them. A reader is a part of the publication. When there is a book reader, then only the books can sell. So the reader has an important role in the publication industry. So in there, actually, they started in the part of the National Bookstall, they started public Gramina Vayanashala in Kerala. By fortunate, I am saying that tomorrow is the day of the June 19 is the day of the Readers' Day in Kerala. We are celebrating that is for 1 week. For this 1 week, actually, there is a Readers' Week. There is in the death day of our P.N. Panikkar, a prominent personality. He started the library movement in Kerala. That was 1945. They started with a limited number of the libraries. Now in Kerala, within around 900 panchayats, there is 7,000 libraries are in Kerala. So any single writer, he will write his book and publish it. It can very easily sell out more than 1,000 copies at a time. So reader is also very important part to the publishing industry. Third one is the main important factor in my concept, that is the writer. In Kerala, actually, we have started. First, this is a cooperative society for the writers. That also started in the 1945, in the part of the freedom struggle. Actually, the contribution of the freedom struggle movement is just only that is not against to the British rule. That was for the people. For the people, actually, it done all these things. So the contribution of the National Bookstall and the SPSC, the Sahitya Pravartaka Saharana Sangam and the Gramina Vayanashalas. And in the part of that, in 1990, Kerala became the 100% literate state. That is a continuous process. In the part of this continuous process, we became the 100% literate state. Now they formed a Saksharata mission also. So I am saying that from tomorrow to next 1 week, thousands of children's literature will sell in every schools in Kerala. So the role of the publisher and the reader and the writer is combined in that there. That is the one method for the development of the publishing industry. In India, I heard about that. In my reading that, to encourage the domestic production of textbooks, the government launched a program in the 1970s, subsidized the publishing of university level books. The scheme was implemented through state governments, which set up their textbook production agencies with substantial financial support. In the government of India given 1 crore rupees to every state from the center. By the late 1980s, about 6,000 books have been published under the program, of which 1/4 were translations. In the likewise, there are so many incidents where also happened. In Kerala, I can tell another instance that in Kerala, there is the Ramayana Karkadaga, that is July 15th to 1 month. In the part of the Bhakti Prasthana, there started the Ramayana month also. In the July 15th to August 15th, 1 month, there is a readers week months. We are celebrating there. That known as Ramayana Masa. Tunjatha Ramanujan Eduthachen, he wrote Vatmiki Eduthachen Adhyatma Ramayana there. In Kerala, the total population comes 3.5 crore people. There we are selling every year 70,000 copies of the Ramayana every year. Each and every home they are purchasing Ramayana, irrespective of the caste and color and politics and religion, they are purchasing Ramayana. On beyond of that, the book of the Ramanujan Eduthachen, second book is the Harinama Kirtanam. It will sell in Kerala per year minimum 1 lakh copies. 1 lakh copies per year it will sell. Because that has started in the part of the Bhakti Prasthana, they are started. In Indian book industry, I'm meaning that so many especially after the independence, Kendra Sahitya Akademi has contributed a lot of things. Kendra Sahitya Akademi published 6,000 titles, published more than 6,000 published titles. That is in around 24 languages they published. I had in my read, the Federation of the Indian Publishers, there in a survey that was in 2004, then mentioned that in 18 Indian languages, 60% of the book selling in Hindi language, 23% in English language, 9% coming in Tamil, Bengali 7%, Marathi 7%, Malayalam in 4%. I'm telling about that. The percentage we can count with the number of the people also. In the total in India, there is 130 CR people are living here. Out of that, around 100 CR people are from Hindi reading people. But the selling rate comes only 23%. But in the case of the Malayalam, our percentage comes 3%, but the book selling size comes nearly more than 4% it is coming.
The first round.
Oh, sorry. I'm extremely sorry because I know the time, but even though as per preparation I sold selling time, anyway, I will limit it that. I hope that the Nielsen committee report and the Federation of the some reports also recently came from the British Council. That also I expect from somebody also because of the eminent dignitaries are here. I present in my subject in this time. I hope that in a time I shall present then further things. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for cutting it short, but I want, after the first round, I want a panel discussion sort of, amongst the panelists, so that it becomes a little more interesting. Because this becomes speech type, So, but I just your governor Arif Mohammad Khanji spoke in the morning. I was in the audience. He also mentioned about the 100% literacy of Kerala. And you mentioned about the public library system, which is very strong in Kerala. And you believe that this is one of the reasons why one of the reasons.
And the Bhakti Prasthana is also the second main reason.
Okay.
It's also very important reason there.
Okay. Thank you very much. Shall we now move to Mr. Bhupati, please? He publishes in the Telugu language from Hyderabad, I suppose, sir. Yeah.
అక్షరానికి నమస్కారం. My colleague Mittal and other dignitaries on the dais, and my listeners. I represent a language which is spoken by 15 crore people in this country, which is the mother tongue of 15 crore people in the country. I run a publishing house in name MSCO, which is one of the oldest existing publishing houses in this country. I got around 4,000 plus titles on my back and 1600 to 1700 titles on catalog. As Bhattacharya rightly mentioned, there is a divide in Indian publishing when we wanted to talk about it. Indian publishing and Indian English publishing has to be seen separately, in a separate spectrum. I don't want to talk about any numbers or statistics or anything, but I wanted to talk about the emotion behind being an Indian language publisher. Always I'm seeing Ajad Ki Amrtotsav, this slogan here. I'm seeing it few months, I'm seeing it, hearing it from different platforms. But my mind says, we as a state, India, were very successful. We could run this democracy for the last Amrtotsav we are spending here. But we as a country, are we that successful? A state is a socio-political entity. A country is a socio-cultural entity. To build a socio-cultural entity, the idea of India is there. Well behind the India has become independence. Way back from thousands of years, there is an idea of India is here. But I am finding the idea India is vanishing. India is not subscribed by the people of this country. Why it is happening? My daughter very much here. She was there in Syracuse University, which is one of the foremost public policy schools in this world, Maxwell School, which has given public policy document for this country. I have seen Jawaharlal Nehru's photo there. I used to go to their library and sitting there, there will be a whole lot of Indian people around that university. Maybe 2,000 or 3,000 people, students are studying in that university. Somebody used to come sit with you. I used to chat with different people. I got no job. Just I went there to see my daughter. What I find is, if I ask somebody, Where are you from? He may be a Pakistani, he may be a Bangladeshi, he may be an Indian. All looks alike. He say, I'm a Punjabi. Some other person I ask, he says that I am Gujarati. If I ask the same question to a Pakistani person, he don't say I'm from Sindh. He don't say I'm from Punjab. Why it is happening? And after going to the school, I understood I am there. Had I deliver me properly to the society, the idea of India will be developed. There is very less institutional effort by the institution of publishing or from the institution of the state to look at the aspects of Indian publishing, Indian language publishing. I don't know. Maybe if some cinema story was made from a Bengali story, Devdas or something, I may be knowing that writer just because some cinema wala get that name to me. The Indian publishing industry, Indian language publishing industry, as an individual, as an institution, failed to interact, negotiate with their fellow language publishing houses. And there is no form in this country to look into exclusively into the Indian language literary publications. I don't think there is any form existing. FIP president is here. There is no such form, as I know. This is the pain and this is the need for any institution to make possible the idea of India exists. The idea of the country exists. When I know about the literature of Malayalam, when I know about literature of the Bengali, when I know literature of the Hindi, maybe Hindi is more known. Particularly when I went to Assam, I traveled across the country many times. I went to Assam many times. I don't know anybody, any writer's name in Assam, being a publisher, Indian language publisher. Isn't it painful for me? The real curse of the issue is we are looking at market, we are looking at selling, we are looking at numbers and all these things. But Indian language publishing has to exist for the existence of the idea of India. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rakesh ji. Thank you for bringing a sort of a kind of a philosophical tonality in our discussion. It is true that interaction between Indian publishers and, as a matter of fact, interaction amongst languages has not developed in the way it should have in the last 75 years. We are celebrating the Amrit Utsav of our Azadi. But this was a vision of our national planners, you know, when Jawaharlal Nehru thought of 3 academies and the National School of Drama, and then thought of National Book Trust. And I am privileged that I worked in at least 2 major institutions. I was with the Sahitya Academy, both in Calcutta and in Delhi. And I was the director of National Book Trust for a tenure. So I have worked in both the institutions, and I can say with some responsibility that effort was definitely made. There was a series called Adan Pradhan. Through this Adan Pradhan series, the effort was made that the books of one language go to the books of other language speakers and readers, you know. But then India being a huge country, for that effort, you need a huge budget also, you need a huge machinery, a lot of workers, which may not happen. Maybe it is not enough, and maybe it was not carried forward with the same gusto with which it was established. But then I'm thankful to you for bringing it back to the center, and I'm sure other panelists will take it up in course of time. May I now go to Mr. Ranu, please, Rakeshji.
Honorable Chair, distinguished panelists, and learned friends. Am I allowed to speak in Hindi?
Yeah, why not?
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Yeah. I have a paper, but before I go through that, the points raised by Mr. Dhupati are very relevant, and that makes a part of my presentation also. That we have not developed an institution of translation between Indian languages. And when we are talking about translation, तो एक तरह का ट्रांसलेटर सारा टेक्स्ट नहीं ट्रांसलेट कर सकता. लिटरेचर का, कविता का जो ट्रांसलेटर होगा वो प्रोज का ट्रांसलेटर नहीं होगा. जो लॉ का ट्रांसलेटर होगा उसकी रिक्वायरमेंट डिफरेंट है जो मेडिसिन का ट्रांसलेटर होगा. तो हमने इस तरीके से एक्सपर्ट ट्रांसलेटर्स के तैयार करने की अमृत महोत्सव का उत्सव है. इस अमृत वर्ष तक 75 सालों तक उसकी कोई मजबूत कोशिश शायद नहीं की है. एक चूक वहां हुई है इंटरेक्शन में. और आप ऑनरेबल अध्यक्ष भी बता रहे थे कि आप, मैं जानता हूं कि आप एनबीटी के प्रमुख रहे हैं, और प्रकाशन विभाग ने भी अपनी सीमित, आप हमारे सलाहकार मंडल में भी रहे हैं इसलिए अपनी सीमित स्रोतों के साथ भारतीय भाषाओं में प्रकाशन की कोशिश की है शुरू से, और अब भी कर रहा है. हालांकि हमारी सीमाएं हैं, और एक तो सरकारी संगठन है, सरकारी संगठन होना शक्ति भी है और सीमा भी है, तो हमारी सीमाएं हैं. लेकिन हमने हर समय में इस बात की पूरी कोशिश की है कि हमारे प्रकाशन तमाम भारतीय भाषाओं में, कम से कम जो संविधान स्वीकृत भाषाएं हैं उनमें आए, और संयोग से देशभर में हमारे बिक्री केंद्र हैं उनके जरिए लोगों तक जाएं. अपने प्रयास में कितने सफल हुए हैं ये नहीं कह सकते, लेकिन कोशिश की है, ये कहना चाहता हूं. अब इन दो बातों के बाद थोड़ी सी बात कुछ आंकड़ों की कर लें, जो आपने नंद कुमार जी ने शुरू में की थी, कि उसी बात को आगे बढ़ाते हैं कि अभी तो 2021 में जनगणना हुई नहीं है, वो ड्यू है. हमारे पास जो उपलब्ध आंकड़े हैं जनगणना के वो 2011 के हैं, और तब तक 3/4 आबादी शिक्षित हो चुकी थी हमारे आंकड़ों के अनुसार. ये जो नए साक्षर, और उसके बाद ये मान लें कि पिछली जनगणना में 9% नए लोग साक्षर हुए थे, नए लोग पढ़ना लिखना सीख रहे थे. वो जो 9% थे, ये हम मान लें कि पिछले 11 वर्षों में आगे 9 या 10% और नए लोग साक्षर हुए होंगे. वे कौन लोग होंगे? ये जो नए साक्षर हो रहे हैं ये अंग्रेजी भाषा में पढ़ने वाले लोग नहीं हैं. ये वे लोग हैं जो वंचित तबकों से आते हैं, दलित गरीब तबकों से आते हैं, जिनके ये काम नहीं कर रहा. ठीक. तो ये जो नए पढ़ने लिखने वाले लोग हैं, वे तमाम लोग अपनी जो मातृभाषा है, अपनी जो आंचलिक भाषाएं हैं उनमें पढ़ के आ रहे हैं, क्योंकि अब तक वो वंचित रहे हैं और अंग्रेजी शिक्षा की पहुंच आज भी उन तक उस तरीके से नहीं है. तो इस एक तथ्य ने जो हमारी भारतीय भाषाओं में पुस्तकों की जरूरत है, उस जरूरत को बढ़ाया है, उसकी मांग बढ़ाई है. हम उसे कितना टैप कर पा रहे हैं, हम उस जरूरत की कितनी पूर्ति कर पा रहे हैं या नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, ये हमारा सामर्थ्य या हमारी असफलता है. अगर वो सामर्थ्य है तो ठीक है, नहीं तो उसकी पूर्ति के लिए प्रयास हो, ये चेष्टा होनी चाहिए. अब तक जो प्रयास हुए उससे आगे और मजबूत और प्रबल प्रयास हो, ये चेष्टा होनी चाहिए. तो जो हम कहते हैं कि अगर हम 9% और जोड़ लें तो तकरीबन देश की आबादी का 1 अरब 100 से 125 करोड़ लोग आज की तारीख में पढ़े लिखे लोग हैं, लिखने पढ़ने वाले लोग हैं। उनकी शिक्षा का स्तर अलग अलग हो सकता है, इसलिए किताबों की उनकी जरूरत का स्तर भी अलग अलग हो सकता है। अलग अलग स्तर की पुस्तकें उन्हें चाहिए। हम यानी नौ साक्षर से लेकर के जो नियो लिटरेट्स हैं वहाँ के लिटरेचर से लेके हायर एजुकेशन की किताबें उनकी भाषा में उपलब्ध करा रहे हैं या नहीं, हमें देखना होगा। और ये सच्चाई है कि आज भी हम टेक्निकल सब्जेक्ट्स की किताबें तो हिंदी में उपलब्ध नहीं है। आंचलिक भाषाओं में, भारतीय भाषाओं में कहाँ उपलब्ध होंगी, वो आप सब लोगों से मैं भी सीखूंगा, जानूंगा, शायद ना उपलब्ध हो। तो उस गैप को, उस कमी को हमें पूरा करना चाहिए। अभी गीतांजलि श्री का सेशन आज ही यहाँ था। गीतांजलि जी को बुकर पुरस्कार मिला। मैं आजकल अपने विभाग की पत्रिका साहित्य की आजकल भी देखता हूँ। पुरस्कार से पहले संयोग से मैंने, ये संयोग ही कहेंगे कि जब शॉर्ट लिस्ट किया गया तो उन पर संपादकीय लिखा। पुरस्कार के बाद खास तौर से हिंदी क्षेत्र में बहुत विवाद हुआ। अनुवाद को पुरस्कार मिला है, मूल को तो मिला नहीं। अगर अनुवाद को पुरस्कार मिला है तो रविंद्रनाथ ठाकुर को भी पुरस्कार नहीं मिला, उनके अनुवाद को मिला था, मूल को तो मिला नहीं। कोई भी पुरस्कार, अंतर्राष्ट्रीय या राष्ट्रीय पुरस्कार जो होता है, मेरी मान्यता है कि वो अनुवाद के आधार पर ही दिया जाता है। और इस तरह का कोई भी बेहतर साहित्य अनुवाद के माध्यम से ही लोगों के पास पहुंचता है। मैंने शुरुआत अनुवाद से की और इसीलिए मैं अनुवाद पर बार बार जोर देता हूं कि हमारे पास मजबूत अनुवाद की और अनुवाद की अलग अलग शाखाओं की मजबूत निकाय होना आवश्यक है। तभी हम हर क्षेत्र की बेहतर रचना लोगों के पास ले जा पाएंगे। और जब वो बेहतर अनुवाद जाएगा तो लोग प्रभावित होंगे, तब एक दूसरे से ज्यादा बेहतर जुड़ पाएंगे। कई चीजों में तकनीक ने, अब लोग कहते हैं कि जो नई सोशल मीडिया आदि के आने से पढ़ने की प्रवृत्ति कमी है, लेकिन आंकड़े इस बात का समर्थन नहीं करते हैं। आंकड़े बताते हैं कि पढ़ने की प्रवृत्ति बढ़ी है। जो पुस्तक विक्रय के व्यवसाय से जुड़े लोग हैं, खुद हमारे यहाँ का जो हमारे अनुभव हैं, वो बताते हैं कि हमारी बिक्री बढ़ी है, उस किताबों की मांग बढ़ी है। हम जो टारगेट रीडरशिप है, जो उसकी इच्छा के अनुसार सामग्री उन तक पहुंचा पा रहे हैं या नहीं, ये देखना है। अगर हम वैसी सामग्री उनके बीच ले जा रहे हैं तो वो रीडरशिप बढ़ी है और हम उन्हें संतुष्ट करने में ये बढ़ना अभी जारी है, अभी शुरुआत हुई है, ये अभी जारी रहेगा। इसलिए इसमें ये बहुत ही उदीयमान क्षेत्र है। इसमें कोई ठहराव की स्थिति फिलहाल नहीं है, तब तक नहीं है जबकि भारत पूर्ण साक्षर हो जाए और पूर्ण साक्षर के बाद साक्षरता का उच्च स्तर हासिल करे। एक तो है कि आंकड़े में हमने 100%, जो आप अनंत कुमार जी कह रहे थे कि बहुत पहले केरल पूर्ण साक्षर हुआ, उसकी प्रक्रिया आपने बताई, उसकी वजह बताई। हिंदी में क्षेत्र में वो वजह नहीं है, बल्कि यहाँ हुआ ये है कि जो पुराने पुस्तकालय थे, जो आजादी के वक्त में स्वाधीनता सेनानियों ने गाँव में, कस्बों में पुस्तकालय बनाए थे, वो नष्ट हो गए हैं। दिल्ली में और तक में पुस्तकालयों में कोई जाता नहीं है, उनकी देखभाल कायदे से नहीं होती है। और मैं अपने गृह नगर बिहार को जानता हूं, जहां बहुत समृद्ध पुस्तकालय खत्म हो गए, नष्ट हो गए, उनकी देखभाल नहीं होती है। तो ये केवल सरकारी प्रयास से नहीं होगा, ये लोगों में भी जागरूकता चाहिए। लेकिन क्योंकि ये पुस्तकालय नष्ट हुए हैं, इसलिए पढ़ने की प्रवृत्ति भी उस क्षेत्र में बहुत मजबूत नहीं हुई है। बावजूद इसके जो नए लोग आ रहे हैं, उनकी वजह से ही पढ़ाई को त्वरा मिल रही है। और 35% आप कुछ आंकड़े बता रहे थे, लेकिन ताजा स्थिति 35% पाठक भारतीय भाषाओं के संदर्भ में कर रहा हूं, अंग्रेजी को हटा के हिंदी के पाठक हैं। लेकिन भारतीय भाषाओं के, हिंदी अंग्रेजी को छोड़ के 65% पाठक या खरीदार 65% भारतीय भाषाओं के हैं, जिसमें केरल का बहुत ऊपर स्थान है, कन्नड़ और बांग्ला का स्थान बहुत ऊपर है। तो मैं वो उतना भाषाई ब्रेकअप लेके नहीं आया हूँ, केवल ये मोटा लेकर के आया कि 65% पाठक हम उन सबको दे पा रहे हैं किताबें, हम उनकी जरूरतें पूरी कर पा रहे हैं। नवसाक्षरों की बात की हमने, हम क्या उच्च स्तरीय साहित्य, लिटरेचर, फिक्शन, नॉवेल्स या पोइट्री दे पा रहे हैं? हमने गीतांजलि श्री की बात की, तो क्या हम उसका अनुवाद किसी भारतीय भाषा में है? गीतांजलि श्री और उनके पति, उनके परिवार के प्रयास से उनके सारे उपन्यास अंग्रेजी में, फ्रेंच में, दूसरी विदेशी भाषा में उपलब्ध होते रहे। ये पहला उपन्यास नहीं जिसका अनुवाद हुआ है, उनके सारे उपन्यास होते रहे। लेकिन क्या किसी भारतीय भाषा में उपलब्ध है? उनको चिंता नहीं हो, यदि लेखक को चिंता नहीं हो, तो क्या भारतीय पाठकों को या भारतीय पाठकों की चिंता करने वाले लोगों को उसकी चिंता है? तो ये कुछ चीजें हैं। संभावनाएं ये हैं कि मैंने सोशल मीडिया की चर्चा की थी, वहीं से निकल के आती है कि जो नई पीढ़ी है वो जो मुद्रित प्रतियां हैं, जो प्रिंटेड कॉपीज हैं, उनकी ओर बहुत प्रवृत्त नहीं हो रही है। पिछले 10 सालों में हमने देखा वो खासतौर से ऑनलाइन पढ़ना चाहती है। तो ई बुक की एक नई संभावना आई है। और ई बुक जो हम प्रकाशक लोग हैं, हम जानते हैं कि जब हमने कैमरा रेडी कॉपी तैयार किया, मुद्रण के लिए, प्रिंट के लिए देने के लिए कॉपी तैयार किया, उस स्तर पर ही जो कॉपी है उसको हम ई बुक में बदल सकते हैं। यानी आय का एक और प्रसार का भी एक नया जरिया हमारा वो मिल गया। तो ये संभावनाएं हैं। तो क्षेत्रीय भाषाओं में, भारतीय भाषाओं में प्रकाशन की संभावनाएं कम नहीं है। हम उनको सही पहचाने और सही टैप करें, इस बात की जरूरत है। बहुत धन्यवाद आप सबका।
धन्यवाद रेणु जी। I did not forget publication division. How can I forget it? You know, because I yeah, I was a member of your advisory committee and I had very good relationship with publication division. I translated books also for publication. Now, question is, whatever you said the right thing. Whatever little government can do, government is doing. But as I mentioned, it is not enough. Public participation, PPP model, जिसको बोलते, public participation is very much important, which Kerala has shown how public participation can be done, particularly through that public library movement. About translation, it is correct, extremely true that all kinds of translations cannot be done by the same set of people. But here also, the government of India launched the National Translation Mission some 8-9 years back. And I was again a member of the advisory committee of that mission also.
Translation commission is all about technical text.
Technical textbook, mostly textbook. But then, yeah, but then they have tried and they have been trying to develop a set of translators for medical books, another set of translators for engineering books. In this way, training and workshop for developing translators for different kind of translations are on. But again, as I said earlier, given the magnitude of our country, given the vastness of our people, all efforts produce results not in a very sizable way. Results are not very visible in a big way, but work is on. National Translation Mission has quite thoughtfully kept literature out of it, because they thought literature ke liye NBT hai, National Book Trust hai, Publication Division hai, they are budgeting different organizations. Amongst them, at least NBT and Sahitya Akademi are autonomous, whereas Publication Division is directly under the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, I suppose. So in this way, I would think that we should keep our hope afloat, you know. Ravi, please. Youngest member of the audience. So,
मंच पर उपस्थित अध्यक्ष जी, प्रोफेसर निर्मल कांति जी और माननीय ई नंद कुमार जी, रमेश मित्तल जी, विजय कुमार ध्रुपति जी एंड राकेश रेणु जी। मुझे नहीं मालूम, मैं आप सब लोगों से सवाल करता हूं, लेकिन सवाल करने से पहले मैं यहाँ बैठ करके एक ऑब्जर्वेशन है मेरा, हो सकता है गलत भी हूं मैं। इस सभागार में जितने लोग बैठे हैं, मंच पर जितने लोग हैं, या तो उनके रिश्तेदार हैं और या तो साहित्य अकादमी के द्वारा दिए गए कार्यकर्ता हैं। इसके अलावा आम सुनने वाला इस सत्र को शायद कोई नहीं है। प्रश्न यहां से उठता है। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, स्वागत आप दोनों का। अब मैं आप दोनों के फेवर में कुछ कहने वाला हूं। अब ये 2 या 3 लोग क्यों यहाँ पर आए हैं, ये पक्का इन लोगों को पब्लिशिंग हाउस में जाना है, व्यापार करना है और पैसा कमाना है। और अगर नहीं कमाना है तो आज सोच करके जाइए कि यहां से किस प्रकार से पैसा कमाया जा सकता है। और यही चीज अगर हमने प्रोपोगेट की होती आज इस आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव में, तो आज ये हॉल खचाखच भरा होता। गजल सुनने के लिए गुलजार को लोग जा सकते हैं मन को शांति देने के लिए, लेकिन बिना जेब भरे हुए मन को शांति मिलती है क्या? नहीं। अब मैं यहां से थोड़ा सा आगे चलता हूं, इसलिए अपनी बात शुरू करने से पहले आप सब लोगों के सामने एक शब्द प्रयोग करता हूं, सिंधी भाषा। सिंधी भाषा आप सब लोगों में से कितने लोग हैं ऐसे जो उसके बारे में जानते होंगे? बहुत कम। 3-4 डाटा देता हूं आपको, वर्ष बताता हूं। सन 1947 हम सब जानते हैं, देश आजाद हुआ और देश बट भी गया। बंगाल और पंजाब के 2 टुकड़े हो गए, दोनों तरफ आ गए। सिंध पूरा का पूरा पाकिस्तान में चला गया, नए देश में। वहां से लोग माइग्रेट करके आए, पूरे भारत में आकर के दाना दाना हो गए। 13 लाख उस समय आए थे। तो वो 13 लाख जो आए, और ये मैं केरल के साथ अपने आप को उसी स्तर पर पाता हूं कि सिंधी समाज का हर बच्चा वो 100% वो साक्षर है। सिंधी समाज में निरक्षर नहीं मिलेगा आपको। अभी तक मेरे पास जो डाटा है उसमें कोई भी नहीं है। अब वो जो 13 लाख लोग आए, देश की जनसंख्या उस समय थी 35 करोड़, आज है 135 करोड़। सिंधी समाज आया वहां से 13 लाख, आज उसी के अनुपात में आप देख लें तो कम से कम हम 60 लाख तो होंगे ही, लोग 1 करोड़ भी कहते हैं। लेकिन वो 60 लाख जो है पूरे भारत में दाना दाना है। भारत का कोई ऐसा प्रांत नहीं है जहां पर वो नहीं रहते हैं। 1947 से दूसरी तिथि आती है 1967। Why this particular date is important? Because Government of India recognized Sindhi language in Indian Constitution. उसको तस्लीम किया गया, उसको शामिल किया गया। जैसे ही शामिल किया गया, साहित्य अकेडमी, NBT, प्रकाशन विभाग, जितने प्रकार के लाभ सब भाषाओं को मिलने थे वो सिंधी को भी मिलने लगे। तो जैसे ही मिलने लगे, 67 से आकर के 70 में भारत सरकार ने सेंट्रल हिंदी डायरेक्टरेट को एक समिति दे दिया, सिंधी भाषा सलाहकार समिति। और आप आश्चर्य करेंगे, 1970 में 1 करोड़ रुपया दिया गया बुक पब्लिकेशन के लिए और उसके डिसेमिनेशन के लिए। 1 करोड़ रुपीस इन 1970। आप कैलकुलेट करके देखिए आज के हिसाब से कितना बड़ा अमाउंट है। तो इस हिसाब से तो बहुत सारी उनका प्रचार प्रसार होना चाहिए था, लेकिन वो नहीं हो पाया। उसके बाद आता है 1994, ये आखिरी तिथि है और मुझे घड़ी मैंने सामने रखी है, मैं ज्यादा समय नहीं लूंगा। 1994 में नेशनल काउंसिल फॉर प्रमोशन ऑफ सिंधी लैंग्वेज स्टैब्लिश होती है अंडर मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एजुकेशन। उसका इस समय मेरे पास डायरेक्टर का दायित्व है। अब उसके कुछ डाटा आप लोगों को दे देता हूं, सिर्फ अभी अभी के डाटा, इस साल के डाटा। भारत में चूंकि सिंधी भाषा किसी एक प्रांत की भाषा नहीं है, तो हैदराबाद में भी सर सिंधी रहते हैं, सर दिल्ली में भी सिंधी रहते हैं, बिहार में भी सिंधी रहते हैं, सर केरल में भी सिंधी रहते हैं, बंगाल में भी सिंधी रहते हैं। आप लोग जहां भी उठा करके देखें सिंधी वहां पर रहते हैं। लेकिन वो सभी वो भाषाएं पढ़ते हैं जिस जिस प्रांत में वो रहते हैं। लेकिन सिंधी की जो आइडेंटिटी है, सिंधी के प्रति जो उनका प्यार है, वो जिंदा है। अब आप लोगों के सम्मुख एक बात में एक सुझाव भी दे देता हूं। अब NEP ने, हमारी जो नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी है, उसने लैंग्वेजेस को बहुत अटेंशन दिया, बहुत प्यार दिया है। काइंडली अगर आप लोगों ने पढ़ा है तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, नहीं तो फिर से पढ़िए। चैप्टर नंबर 4, चैप्टर नंबर 11, चैप्टर नंबर 22, पर्टिकुलरली चैप्टर नंबर 22 ने तो बहुत अटेंशन दिया है। तो अब उसमें क्या बात कर गई है? बहुभाषिकता की बात की गई है, मल्टीलिंगुअलिज्म की बात की गई है। तो इससे मेरा एक सुझाव निकल करके आता है, जो कि सिंधी अपने ऊपर सोच रहा है तो आप लोगों के बारे में भी सोच सकता है। आप तेलुगु में किताबें निकालते हैं सर, एक प्रयोग करके देखिए, तेलुगु और सिंधी में किताबें छापिए, बाइलिंगुअल। इसका प्रयोग देखिए कितना सफल होने वाला है। वो जो वहां पर तेलुगु भाषी सिंधी पढ़ रहा है वो तो लेगा ही, और आपका जो तेलुगु पाठक है वो सिंधी को भी हो सकता है उसके माध्यम से ले। आप एक प्रयोग करके देखिए, पक्का सफल हो जाएंगे। इसी तरीके से बांग्ला में, इसी तरीके से मलयालम में, इसी तरीके से हिंदी में, ये बाइलिंगुअलिज्म जो है, इसको एक बार जरा फोकस करके देखिए। और मैं ये कह रहा हूं व्यापार बढ़ाने वाला है। सिंधी मूल रूप से व्यापारी होता है, इसलिए मेरी भी दृष्टि वो व्यापार देख पा रही है। मैं टीचर हूँ, दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी में प्रोफेसर हूँ, लेकिन बहुत रेयर होते हैं प्रोफेसर वगैरह, पक्के व्यापारी होते हैं सर सिंधी समाज के लोग। लेकिन उस विजन से मैं आप लोगों के सम्मुख कह रहा हूँ, एक ये दृष्टि आप लोगों के सम्मुख रखी है। दूसरी एक दृष्टि आप लोगों के सम्मुख यहाँ पर रखना चाहता हूँ, सिंधी हिंदी, सिंधी मराठी, सिंधी गुजराती, इस तरह से एक बार प्रयोग करके देखिए। प्रकाशन समूह जो है ना सर, उनको प्रमोशनल एक्टिविटी चलानी चाहिए। प्रमोशनल एक्टिविटी उनको खुद अपना एक एसोसिएशन, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, प्रांत का, जिले का, किसी भी केंद्र स्तर पर है तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, नहीं तो उसे चलाना चाहिए। पाठक वर्ग पैदा करें, आप लोग भी पुरस्कार दीजिए ना। भारतीय भाषाओं में जो लिखेगा, पढ़ेगा, काम करेगा, उसे भी आप लोग पुरस्कार दीजिए। आप लोगों की दुकानदारी बढ़ने वाली है। मैं फिर कह रहा हूं इस शब्दों को, इस प्रोजेक्ट को, इस स्कीम को थैंक्स टू साहित्य अकेडमी कि उन्होंने इस विषय पर आज चर्चा रखी है। कम से कम नेशनल काउंसिल फॉर प्रमोशन ऑफ सिंधी लैंग्वेज के अलावा पूरे भारत में 7 प्रांतों में 7 एकेडमीज हैं। उसमें महाराष्ट्र में है, गुजरात में है, राजस्थान में है, छत्तीसगढ़ में है, यूपी में है। ये प्रमोशन फॉर सिंधी लैंग्वेज की बात करती हैं। लेकिन अब उन्होंने, सभी ने प्रयास किया कि हम बायलिंगुअल पर आ जाएं, और उनकी जो स्कीम्स हैं, 150 कॉपीज तो हम ही खरीद करते हैं। आप सर सिंधी के बारे में तेलुगु में छापिए, आप बंगला में छापिए, हम 150 किताबें हम खरीदेंगे, बट सब्जेक्ट शुड बी ऑन सिंध एंड सिंधी। आप मलयालम में छापिए, 150 किताबें हम यहां से ऑफर कर रहे हैं आपको। 150 copies will be purchased by this organization, but the subject matter will be on Sindh and Sindhis. हैदराबाद में सिंधी समाज, कोलकाता में सिंधी समाज, इस पर नई किताबें क्यों नहीं आ सकती है? सिर्फ कहानी, कविताएं, संस्मरण, उपन्यास क्यों आते हैं? और जो टेक्स्ट बुक्स हैं, ये जो भारतीय भाषाओं के अध्ययन अध्यापन की बात जो प्रधानमंत्री जी कर रहे हैं, जो मीडियम की बात कर रहे हैं, जो माध्यम की बात कर रहे हैं, उस माध्यम को जगाने का काम, आगे बढ़ाने का काम, देश हित में करने का काम, ये बहुत अच्छा अवसर है। 75th ईयर ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंस, ये हमारे लिए गोल्डन अपॉर्चुनिटी है। वो सारे गवाक्ष, वो सारी खिड़कियां खोल दीजिए जो आज तक हम नहीं खोल पाए हैं। भाषाओं के बीच निकटता लाने के लिए ये बहुत आवश्यक है। कुछ आप आगे बढ़िए, कुछ हम आगे बढ़ते हैं, और प्रति वर्ष, सिर्फ पिछले वर्ष का डाटा आपको मैं देता हूं, पूरे भारत में सभी एकेडमीज और एनसीपीएसएल से मिला करके 250 टाइटल्स छपे हैं। 250 टाइटल एक छोटे से समाज के लिए छापना एक वर्ष में, इसका मतलब इतने राइटर भी हैं, इसके लिए उसके पाठक भी हैं, लेकिन इसका एक स्याह पन्ना भी है। स्याह पन्ना क्या है कि पाठक खरीदने के लिए नहीं, क्योंकि हमने ही आदत खराब कर दी है, हम उनको वो उपहार स्वरूप पुस्तकें दे देते हैं, सरकारी खरीद करके दे देते हैं, तो खरीदने वालों की संख्या कम हो गई है। तो इसलिए मेरे इस 10 मिनट की चर्चा में कुछ अगर बिंदु आज साहित्य अकेडमी को मिले हों, कम से कम मैंने तो आप लोगों से बहुत कुछ सीखा है, और आज फिर और भी आगे सीख करके जाऊंगा। सर, प्रकाशन विभाग के आज स्टॉल पर गया था, आज तक एक भी किताब सिंधी की नहीं छपी है। ये 75 वर्ष है। सिंधी कहानियां हिंदी में छपी है, लेकिन प्रकाशन विभाग ने नहीं छापा है। 200 टाइटल साहित्य अकेडमी ने छापा है, मात्र 8 टाइटल एनबीटी ने छापा है। मैं सबके साथ संपर्क में हूं निदेशक के नाते, और उनसे मैं कह रहा हूं सिर्फ सिंधी में मत छापिए, बाइलिंगुअल हो जाइए। जिस जिस प्रांत में सिंधी रह रहा है, वो आपकी किताबें भी बढ़ेगी, भाषा का प्यार भी बढ़ेगा, और भाषाओं के बीच की जो बहनापा है, जो बहन का जो संबंध है, जो दो बहनों का जो भाव है, वो और निखर करके आएगा, निखर करके आएगा। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Thank you very much. I'm expecting some firework from Ravi Mittalji in response to Ravi Tekchandani's presentation. And Ravi has given some suggestions to the publishers present here. Let me see whether the publishers take it up. But I have one question for you, Ravi. With all humility, I'm asking you. I hear complaints from both, at least from both Sahitya Academy and National Book Trust, that Sindhi books do not sell. Now, you almost admitted it, because you said your council will buy 150 copies. Whose 150 copies ko kya hua? Either you will dole it out, or it will lie in a godown. So what impetus you can give to the publishers so there's a comfort to publish more Sindhi? I'd want you to think about it. In the next round, I'll want you to answer it. Okay. Sure. No problem. Mittalji, see, there was a dearth of statistics which I could notice from the presentation of the four, we hate statistics in India, but since you are the president of the Federation of Indian Publishers, you have been the president of Capex Hill, so give us some statistics also about the publishing scenario of the country. How many publishers are there in India? How many books are published in every year? What is the percentage of distribution of those books in languages? What is the turnover of the publishing industry of India, if you can?
Aside. The chairperson, Mr. Bhattacharya, Nand Kumar ji, Dhupati ji, Rakesh Renu ji, Ravi ji, and my dear friends.
Is it working? Can you hear it? No. So, here.
You see, it is an admitted fact that we have a rich literature in our languages. Each of the languages have very good literature available and is sought after normally. So what is happening is, like, I have heard about Kerala, the development of literacy and all that, and which has led to buying of more number of books together with public libraries. Dhupati ji's idea of India is a welcome idea, a welcome thought. And Rakesh Renu ji mentioned about how things can be further developed by coordinating between the publishers. And then again, our friend Ravi ji has opened further venues for us to reach out the literature to the people. So you see, new education policy, as he has already mentioned, is already given importance to languages. And I can tell you that even science and technology subjects, we had an online meeting with the Secretary Department of Science and Technology a few months back. And they are thinking about developing the entire science, technology and medicine literature in languages. They are already working on it, and a lot of books will be coming out soon. So that's what is happening. So UGC is also planning that there will be a lot of education will be imparted, higher education will be imparted through languages. So the future of languages, our languages, is very bright in terms of publishing. Children literature is extremely important, I believe so. Because the things have to start from the childhood itself. And like he said, bilingual books. So we can have, for children, we can have bilingual books and even trilingual in the sense, the language and then its transliteration mentioned in, transliterated script, say Roman script, and then the other language. Perhaps there'll be much more market because then there'll be more number of readers in the times to come. And when we publish books, one of the very important point is that we should use we should avoid the use of non-Unicode fonts. What happens is we use any font and later on when you have to make ebooks or anything, there'll be problems. So better use only Unicode fonts so that at the time of typesetting, so that compatibility is there for our books to reach out to all platforms, be it ebooks or any other platform whatsoever. And one of the important things that which we have been noticing is that our books, not only in languages, but in English also, all books do not carry ISBN. I got a survey made, about 2 years back, and found that in certain languages, the minimum is 15% minus. Those languages which almost publish ISBN in every book, even there, 15% books will be missing ISBN. And there are languages where 72% books do not carry ISBN. If we want to have our market world over, if we want to market our books properly, ISBN is the most important thing, which our publishers must include in their books. What happens is, if the book, even if they include in their books, there will be wrong ISBNs also. The survey indicated that about 4.5% books carried wrong ISBNs. Out of the books that carried ISBN, 4.5% carried wrong ISBNs. So this was an alarming situation. One of the important things is, whatever language the book is, on the back of the title page, that is copyright page, please indicate important information about the book in transliterated format. That is name of the title, the author, the subject, at least these three things. So if a librarian is looking for some books, and if he does not know the language, at least he can pick up those books which are required as per the subject. So please make sure that these things should be included. And then I'll come to the, some statistics. In fact, statistics is under preparation at the moment, because Federation is soon bringing out the, India Book Market Report 2022 in collaboration with Nielsen. This is under preparation. We are collecting the data from all over India, and even book data is being collected from ISBN agency, from the National Library, from, other publishing sources whatsoever. But whatever I know, it is at least 140,000 books being published in India at the moment in different languages. For Sindhi, the calculation came to us is for 250 books, as you rightly said. So we are reaching somewhere. And it is coming out to be 140,000 to 145,000 somewhere. Now, and the breakup, whatever I noticed was, the highest number is English, of course. The second one is Hindi. Third one, as far as I recall, I don't have the data here, was Tamil, I think, then Bangla, or Bengali, then Tamil, and then it was, I think, Kannada maybe. So I don't exactly remember that. I didn't bring that data with me, but that is being worked out. A survey has been done, and I think that will appear. That will appear in the India Book Market Report, and also the Federation is bringing out a volume on 75 years of Indian book publishing, and that data will be depicted there also. We plan to get it released in the next month sometime. So that volume is also almost under finalization, sir. So these are the things. Now, publishers should also come out with audiobooks, because it's not that if you are having audiobook, it supplements the sales further of the same book. It's not that the sales get reduced, sales go up further. That is what has been noticed. If there is an audiobook, there will be more sale of the same book. So one should not think that if you make an audiobook, tomorrow the sale of that book will be, the printer one will be less. It will be much more. So next is translation. About translation, a lot of discussion has already happened. And I think the government of India, even for international translations, Dada, you must be knowing, Indian literature abroad used to be a scheme under which the government of India will fund translation of Indian books into foreign languages. But I think that is almost defunct at the moment. Right now it is. And similar I think some such fund should be arranged by the government for different language translations into our own languages. Because it requires a lot of effort and money to translate a book from, say, Bengali into Malayalam, or from Malayalam into Hindi, or whatever. A lot of effort and money is required. And if some funding is available it will certainly make things go forward. Rights exchanges will happen in the book fairs and everywhere. So this will be another area which can be worked out. Now, we don't have, unfortunately, a national book database of our publishing. The entire publishing data is not available. In my database at home, I have about the data of 75,000 publishers, Indian publishers. But all may not be functional at the moment. But this data has been collected over a period of 45 years. 75,000 publishers. So all may not be current, but at least maybe 20,000 publishers are definitely publishing regularly in India. That is true. Language, we don't have language bookshop. Sir, is there any Malayalam language bookshop in Delhi? A Bengali language bookshop in Delhi? A Telugu language bookshop in Delhi?
There in Delhi.
One bookshop. But what happens is, for a city like Delhi, where people from all languages live, perhaps a larger platform is required where all the languages bookshops are there. Language bookshops cannot fetch their rent out of it. Delhi rent cannot be fetched out of selling of books. That is very clear. So perhaps we can request government at some level that at some central place, and at least in these big cities, there should be bookshops. I met one Telugu publisher, sir, about 15 years back. He came to my office, some Mr. Ramarao or something. And I mentioned to him, he was going to Ministry of Education. I said, sir, do you have any Telugu bookshop here? He said, no. So, sir, talk about that. We should have one like Emporias. Why can't we have book Emporias where at least book functions can happen? Book celebrations can happen regularly. It is very important. Authors can reach out there. Authors are celebrated there. Some book releases are there. Books are discussed there. So that becomes a happening place, and there'll be a good number of buyers coming out. So what happens if I am a Bengali and I'm looking for a number of books, there'll be a lot of problem finding books. So those things are there. So more, sir, time is over, but these are some of the suggestions. Public library is already done. And one more thing, sir, before I close. Sir, in the bilateral agreements between the governments, books should be included. And there should be institutions like British Council, on the lines of British Council, set up in different countries, at least where Indian diaspora is there, so that more and more book demand is there. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mittalji. So actually, Mr. Mittal has brought up a number of recommendations. I'm not sure whether somebody is taking notes or something like that of the minutes kind of thing. Okay. So if this is so, then before I go back to the panel once more, if this is so, I'll also like to make a proposition. Well, Bengali has two bookshops. There is a Bengal Association in Goal Market. So they have a huge setup, Muktadhara. There they have opened a bookshop. And in the Chittaranjan Park area, so there is a bookshop. But I would not say this is enough. What we can, when you write to the government about this inclusion of the, in the bilingual, then you also in another proposal you can give, in the Khodok Singh Marg, government has given space to every state for the emporium. And those emporiums are selling the sarees and particular handicrafts of that state. Kerala is also there. Gujarat is also there. All other spaces there. So there, why not they not Khodok Singh Marg, somewhere in Delhi, they can, government can set up an area where all language publishing will have a kiosk, small kiosk, and it should be in a central place. Done. For other language books. Yeah. That is that's a dream come true, but let us begin with the capital city. Okay. See, we still have some some 15 minutes to go. So I'll have a quick round. Nandkumar ji, my question to all of you will be, what is the status of the ebook publishing and the digital publishing in your language? And as a traditional publisher, do you consider it a threat or a compliment? You can speak from here.
Actually, in the e-publishing is also. It started in Kerala also. Mr. Mittalji told me the Unicode for actually we are also they're using the Unicode for the typing. So almost all the main publishers in Kerala, they started the ebooks. Not only that, by the Kindle, they can read the Malayalam books, you can read in Kindle, you can read. Because in Kerala atmosphere, that around 50, our population comes to 3.5 lakh, but out of 55 lakh peoples from abroad. So ebook is very necessary in Malayalam language, even though almost all the Malayalam publishers already started this thing.
Telugu.
Ebook yet to emerge in my language. Just very few books are coming as ebooks. You got two questions. What is the condition and what is the threat and opportunity? Perception. Ebook is inevitable and cost effective for the publishing also. If it emerges, take a shape. If the things are, if the data is available in Unicode, as you say, for my language, there's a lot of fonts. Our institution itself has developed a lot of fonts, Unicode fonts. But in some other Indian languages, I am facing a problem with Unicode compatible fonts. Once that is done, ebook is a good option, good opportunity. Whether it is a threat or not, time has to tell.
Yeah, I've already mentioned this. हमने पब्लिकेशंस डिवीजन ने ई बुक्स को अब जितनी भी हमारी नई पब्लिकेशंस आ रही हैं साइमल्टेनियसली हम ई बुक्स रिलीज कर रहे हैं ऑफ ऑल बुक्स एंड पिछले जो हमारी इन्वेंट्री है पहले के जो क्वालिटी बुक्स हैं जो आज भी रिलेवेंट हैं और भविष्य में भी रिलेवेंट रहेंगे उनमें से मोर देन 1500 टाइटल्स को हमने ई बुक में कन्वर्ट किया है ये प्रोसेस चल रहा है ऑलरेडी ये खत्म नहीं हुआ है ये राइट नाउ इतना है कि 1500 प्लस बुक्स हमारे पुरानी इन्वेंट्री के ई बुक में अवेलेबल है बिकॉज जो मैंने पहले मेंशन किया कि जो नई जनरेशन है और ये हम अपने घरों से भी देख सकते हैं वो ऑनलाइन पढ़ने में भरोसा करती है वो चलते हुए मोबाइल में या आईपैड पे कोई उपन्यास या कोई कहानी या इवन टेक्स्ट बुक्स पढ़ना पसंद करते हैं तो इसका एक फ्यूचर है और फॉर पब्लिशर्स मेरी समझ से ये कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव है रिसोर्स आय रेवेन्यू जनरेट करने का नया रास्ता है इसलिए इसको तो हमें अपनाना ही चाहिए
सिंधी के संदर्भ में इसे स्वागत किया गया है और एनसीपीएसएल भी इस दिशा में आगे बढ़ रहा है ई बुक राइटर से कहता है कि आप दीजिए हम उसे अपने साथ ई बुक भी करेंगे जो पब्लिकेशन स्कीम्स हैं सिंधी समाज के लिए ये बहुत अच्छा सकारात्मक कदम है
Yes, ebooks is very important. I would rather say that publishing has to evolve and we have to come up with new ideas and thoughts every time in order to stay in this business in the long run. Because if the print books are slowly going down, we have to come up with ebooks or audiobooks or whatever new formats come in. So it's always important. Thank you.
आपको सवाल का जवाब दे दूं
अभी आता हूँ वो 2-3 सेकंड मेरा याद है
मुझे अनुमति दे तो मैं इनकी एक सवाल का जवाब देता हूं उन्होंने जो कहा था कि मैं श्योर होके नहीं कह सकता राइट नाउ कि सिंधी में पब्लिकेशन डिवीजन ने कुछ पब्लिश किया या नहीं रिसेंट ईयर्स में नहीं किया है आई एग्री विद यू लेकिन जो पॉइंट आप समय खत्म होने के कारण मैंने रेज नहीं किया था वो है बल्कि पार्शियली रेज भी किया था क्वालिटी ट्रांसलेटर्स का देन क्वालिटी टाइप सेटर प्रूफ रीडर और वेटर का उसके लिए मैं मदद कर दूंगा हाँ ये अगर आप एश्योर करें तो मैं एश्योर करता हूं कि इन फ्यूचर पब्लिकेशंस डिवीजन सिंधी में ही बुक्स लाएगी थैंक यू
well so the beginning of a kind of hope in future that these seminars and these discussions ultimately, if it lead to at least one action, I'll be happy. We talk about many things and we forget those things after we go out of the room. But if one action sort of becomes successful, still we have another 8 to 9 minutes. I would like to tell you a little about certain issues came up regarding the Facebook. I think at least 3 panelists mentioned what Facebook is doing and Facebook sort of destroying the book industry, or at least trying to make inroad into the book industry. Now, I have another take here. I have a different take here, maybe a little contrarian opinion. I would think that as long as people read, whatever medium they may read in, I'm okay with it. Because as such, books, history of books is not more than 600 years old. It's after the Gutenberg's printing machine came up. So before 600 years also people used to read. Otherwise, how Mahabharata and Ramayana were written 4,000 years back. So books were not there. But people read in other medium, read on the palm leaf manuscript, read on stone tablets and all. So if reading habit goes on, whether it is on the Kindle or it is on the Facebook or it is on this Instagram, Twitter, if the Twitter extends beyond 180 words. So as long as people keep reading, as long as people are interested in what is happening in the creative minds of the people, I would not really complain that, oh God, our book industry is going astray. It's not so. Maybe it's one industry will gradually metabolize into another industry. With these words, I'm not going to talk about Bengali publishing now because we have no time, but I will give you those 30 seconds to answer my question.
Ajo is a Sahitya Academy award-winning novel. I myself have transliterated from Perso-Arabic script to Devanagari. I myself told 3,300 books. I was the publisher, I was the transliterator, and 350 कापियां आज भी साहित्य अकेडमी में डंप पड़ी हैं because of this script problem. And that साहित्य अकेडमी has to understand this, otherwise उनकी वो डंप पड़ी रहेंगी. और मैं ऑफर करता हूं साहित्य अकेडमी को, let us have an MOU. आप जो भी परसो अरेबिक में छापिए, all your books will be transliterated by NCPSL in through Devanagari.
So this message should go to Sahitya Academy. Of course, I will also tell them. Now we have 6-7 minutes left. If any particular question is there from the audience, please don't indulge in any presentation. I don't want any presentation. If there is any question, precise, concise, please ask. Sorry? Very tricky question. I think FIP should.
सर हाँ ये प्रॉब्लम है, हम भी बातचीत करते रहते हैं फेडरेशन में कि कोई एक टेक्स्ट बुक बच्चों की है. मैं आई वाज जस्ट डिस्कसिंग विद हिम आल्सो बिफोर द event started. You see, publisher is printing, I mean, the printing cost, of course, has gone up tremendously in these 2 years. It is more than double now. Paper is double, more than double. That is that apart. Now the problem is, X publisher, say, book meant for class 6, X publisher would price it for, say, 100 rupees. Y will price it for 150. Z will price it for 200. And the third one will, and the fourth one will price it for 250. Different prices, same size book, almost differently written a bit and differently presented a bit. The problem here is the discount formulas which are being applied at the moment. Say, there are publishers who will not give more than 20% discount to a school. There are publishers who would give away 70% discount to the schools. So this is what is happening, sir. So a student is the first common person, sir. A student is the first common person, sir, because student तो कुछ अर्न भी नहीं करता है, उसके पेरेंट्स ने दिलवानी है। और वहां एक प्रॉब्लम है ये कि स्टूडेंट को उसकी किताबें जो दिलवानी है, एक्स स्कूल में वो टोटल मतलब 6th क्लास का टोटल जो प्रोडक्ट है वो सपोजिंग 2000 रुपीज में मिलता है, दूसरे स्कूल में 3000 में है, तीसरे स्कूल में 5000 रुपीज में मिल रहा है। बिकॉज दिस इज वेयर आई वाज डिस्कसिंग अबाउट दिस कि प्राइसिंग का कोई से पहले स्टूडेंट्स की बुक्स पे प्राइसिंग के लिए कुछ किया करे, गवर्नमेंट करे, और उसके अंदर डिस्काउंट का भी एक फिक्स कर दे। जो अगर इफ आई गो बैक 45 years, उस टाइम में डिस्काउंट का वो बुरा हाल नहीं हुआ था जो आज हो गया है। वेरी अनफॉर्चुनेट। अच्छा, दूसरी प्रॉब्लम क्या है, विशियस सर्कल ये हो गया है कि एक्स ने किताब छापी है, अब आपके मैं जनरल लेमैन वाली किताब पे आता हूँ, 300 रुपए में छापी है, वही 500 रुपए में, वही 800 रुपए में छपती है। प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि वो थोड़े से सब्जेक्ट या इशू की वजह से प्राइस हाई करनी पड़ती है, क्योंकि मार्केट उतनी नहीं है। मार्केट जब आप देखते हैं, कोई बुक की तो शायद 5000 कॉपीज निकल जाएंगी, कोई नॉवल छपा है तो 50,000 कॉपीज भी निकल जाएंगी, बट दूसरा नॉवल जो छपता है उसकी 300 भी नहीं बिकती है, 200 भी नहीं बिकती है, क्योंकि लोग आज भी सेलिब्रिटी ऑथर्स की बुक्स को ढूंढ रहे होते हैं। वही एक प्रॉब्लम है।
मैं असमिया की लेखिका हूँ। तो उसका जो ट्रांसलेशन होता है नॉवेल का, मेरा खुद का ही 22 नॉवेल है, 22 नॉवेल्स आई हैव रिटन। जो बाहर पब्लिश करने के लिए हिंदी या इंग्लिश में हमेशा तकलीफ होता है। आजकल मैं छोड़ ही रही हूँ कि चलो छोड़ ही देती हूँ, हिंदी या इंग्लिश का रीडर नहीं होने से भी चलेगा। ऐसा इतना फेस करना पड़ता है, पब्लिशर नहीं मिलता।
Well, that problem is perennial, but now, please sit down. Now, a number of literary agencies have come up, quite a few, and they're doing good work. So when you, mostly in English, of course, about Hindi, perhaps it will have to be your, as author, your own effort to approach the Hindi publishers. But so far as English books are concerned, there are quite a number of literary agencies. If you approach them, they will first vet your manuscript. If they find it good, acceptable, pushable, then they will not charge you anything to begin with. They will push it to they will place it before various publishers. If the deal comes off with any particular publisher, then they will charge you a percentage of your royalty. So this is how it works, which is not bad. And I can say from my own experience, a number of writers have successfully published through the literary agencies.
One book already published by Liffey Publication from Mittal Sahab. One is already published, but so many books I want to know.
Yeah, all your 22 books you should try.
No,
You
46
wanted to say
books.
something?
I have
Thank you.
46 books.
Yeah, my good friend Schmitl is here and Sahitya Academy people are here. There is an urgent need, at least in this time of Azad Ke Amritotsav, there should be a national get-together or a conference of all Indian language publishers that are available, that is very much needed. If we can do in the occasion of this Azad Ke Amritotsav, at least you are telling that about 20,000 publishers are in India. Actually, I know publishers in at least 15 languages in this country. You know, all in Telugu, there were at about 150 publishers. Now we are having 3 proper publishing houses and some 20-25 publishers who publish their books on their own. One writer write a book and it's self-publication. There are only 3 or 4 publishing houses. I can say I know about Varia, I know about Assami. There are publishers who are publishing. You are calling this is a discussion about a literature, not about textbooks, not about copybooks and all these things. It's the discussion about literature. In literature, the existence of total in India, I count you cannot fill 2 pages in Indian language publishing. No, they have done.
But
This is my
anyway,
experience.
you have made a point, and it's a lamentable point that Telugu publishing scenario needs to be revamped because self-publishing is not the answer. I think we have run out of time, and she is looking at me, so I hand over to you. But before that, I'll take the opportunity to thank all my panelists for the wonderful presentation and contributions. And I think many muddas, many issues have come up which need to be discussed more thoughtfully. Please.
Well, thank you, everybody. And for sure, it was quite an insightful and intriguing session. However modern we become, however busy we become, but that's for sure that feel of books would also always attract us. That smell of new books would always attract us. But that's also true that in today's busy life, audiobooks and ebooks are our future. With this, we conclude this session, but I would like to tell you, if you wish, you can join our valedictory session, which is also attended by Himachal Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh's governor in the main hall. So if you wish, you can go to the main hall and attend the valedictory session. Thank you very much.